Okay, everybody, thank you for coming this evening. I'll leave the wait list open a little longer so people can just, not wait list, the waiting room open for a little longer and people can just join us. And today is a workshop presented by Salesforce with Brian Murphy, and I'm going to turn it over to Brian and let you know about him, who he is. On to you, Brian.
Thanks, Thelma. Appreciate it. So thanks, everybody, for joining. Like Thelma said, my name is Brian Murphy, and I'm a solution engineer at Salesforce. My role was basically to work with our state and local government customers and prospective customers to work with them and to implement Salesforce-based solutions to help manage their mission. And we've been involved with the Hawaii Annual Code Challenge for 5 or 6 years now, and it's been a great experience. And what I'm here to do today is to kind of relay some information about the Salesforce platform, what it's like to develop enterprise class applications on a no code, low code, or what we call ClickSnot code industrial strength application platform, because it might be something that you want to use for the challenges that are going to be released this coming Monday. There have been in the past a couple of categories of the hackathon for, low code, no code platform development. I'm absolutely willing to kind of pay attention to the hackathon Slack channel as it commences and help you out, see if there might be ways in which, if you decide to use Salesforce in some of the development, and I'll give you some examples of what we've done as we go through this presentation and demonstration today. But really what I wanted to do is kind of walk through for about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, a little bit about Salesforce. But first, we are a publicly traded company. This is my lawyers that always make us put these up at the beginning of our presentations, because we will actually be talking about some future technology that's not yet released, especially as we get into the AI section of the presentation. So not that you're all going to go out and run and buy Salesforce software, but that's just a disclaimer that we put into our presentations. But in terms of the session overview, I wanted to spend at least a few minutes on introducing Salesforce as a company. I mean, everybody's familiar with Microsoft and Google and AWS, and some people might be familiar with Salesforce, but I want to explain a little bit about what we do, what our platform is all about, and then really get into a real demonstration around autonomous AI agents, something that we've released in the last couple of weeks that we call Agentforce, or that I should say that we've announced it. It will go GA this late October, and we'll actually do a demonstration where we build an AI-based autonomous agent that will actually intake information from a customer and actually perform some actions like scheduling appointments for installation. And we'll see how we might be able to kind of translate that to a government context and how it could potentially be utilized for some of the challenges that are coming out, if in fact they relate to artificial intelligence or AI. I'll certainly take questions. It might be hard for me to see you as we go through this. So Thelma, I think, will pay attention to the chat. So feel free to add some things to the chat. I'll be following up with this presentation and putting information in the Slack channel under the Salesforce channel. And by the way, Salesforce owns Slack. So if you're a Slack user, thank you for your business. If you weren't aware of that. And then we'll also provide some resources and links and QR codes and stuff like that. And this presentation will be posted to the channel as we get into it as well.
I will say one thing. I can see if you raise your hand as well. So I'm monitoring the raised of hands in the chat. So if you have questions, do it one of two ways. You raise your hand on the toolbar on the bottom. Okay, thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No, great. The first thing I like to do is actually jump right into showing you a website that we have, which is called developer.salesforce.com. And this allows you, if you're interested in learning more about Salesforce or using Salesforce for your challenges of creating a Salesforce developer account. And basically, this gives you an entire Salesforce environment, both our platform, our pre-built applications, our low-code, no-code development environment, the reporting capabilities, mobile app capabilities, etc., all for free. and it's all in one sort of package. And I always put this down here too, this terminology that we use. You know, whenever you're learning a new terminology, because everybody in the cloud world uses different terms, a Salesforce account or a Salesforce org, we call it, or a Salesforce environment, a Salesforce instance, or just Salesforce, it all means the same thing. It's basically your Salesforce environment. So what I'm going to do is swipe over here to this site, which is developer.salesforce.com. And for future reference, I'm going to move some of these windows around. You'll see up in the top right corner this notion of browsing trials. And there is a trial that we call a development environment, or a DE, Developer Edition environment. And this is a full functioning environment. The only limitation on it is that there's only 2 full user licenses. So you can, create 2 different users, and you can have 2 different full administrators log into the environment and so on. But as you go down, there are a whole host of other types of trials that Salesforce makes available across our product set. But what I'm going to do here is just show you how you go in and sign up for Developer Edition. All it takes is just a very simple sign up form. I'll just demonstrate this real quick. So put in my information and my role as a developer. Company is Salesforce. Of course, I'm in the United States. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm out in Portland, Oregon. And my zip code. And then when you get down to username, this is what is unique to a Salesforce environment. And that basically means is you're creating your own username. And your username just must be in the form of an email address. It doesn't have to be a real email address. And the reason why is that this username is unique across all Salesforce customers in the entire world. So if you try to put in username b.murphy@salesforce.com and try to register, it's going to come back and say, oops, that's taken. And that's taken by me at my company's. So I always just make things up here. b.murphy@hack 2024, .hello, or .demo, or .com, or .il, or .table. It doesn't really matter. As long as it's just in the form of an email address, then it will go ahead and spin up an environment. So you can go ahead and click sign up. It takes about 5 minutes for you to receive an email. And once you get that, so I'm just gonna not go ahead and do that because I did this a little bit earlier just so it would be faster, is that once you get the email from Salesforce, you're ready to log into your developer account. And so it will give you, based on the username that you've selected, it'll give you kind of a URL -developer-edition at mysalesforce.com. And then all you got to do is click verify account. And then the first thing it will do is just ask you to put in a password. So I'm going to select my password. You can pick a challenge question. I was born in Sacramento, so I'll go ahead and select that, click change password. And in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, you now have a fully functional Salesforce environment. I'm going to be kind of coming back to this to giving you a little bit more of a tour, but the first thing that it does is it takes you into what we call Salesforce setup. And Salesforce setup is where you set up your entire environment. You create your users, you create your workflow, you create your reports, you create your database schema. So if you want to create a brand new application and define a schema for it, you can do that all within this environment here. And then now that I'm in the setup environment, if I use in the top left corner, this little, I kind of call it the waffle icon, this is where your Salesforce applications live. So if I click view all, this developer edition environment comes with a number of out-of-the-box Salesforce-based applications. And I'm going to talk to you about what these do. But if you want to access the application, you click on one of them, and then you'll start to see, I'll just go ahead and say allow. And I got all these these windows here, okay. You'll start to see now how you can invoke or interact with your enterprise business application that's based on the Salesforce platform. So that's just usually what I like to start with to get the environment set up. And I'll be directing you guys to this as we go through and how to create these environments. And we have some training environments that we use for our Trailhead training platform that I'll talk about as we get into this a little bit further as well. So just a little bit of a background though, to give you context. So Salesforce started 25 years ago in San Francisco. So I don't know if you've been to San Francisco lately, but the tallest building in San Francisco now is called Salesforce Tower. That is the skyline has forever changed. If you're familiar with the Transamerica Pyramid building, it's no longer the tallest building in San Francisco, but Salesforce started 25 years ago with one goal and one goal only, and that was to provide enterprise class business applications via the web in a software as a service format. Back then, and I've been in the technology business over 30 years, back then, software as a service used to be called application service providers. There were people that would host applications like Oracle or PeopleSoft or other types of applications for customers, but they would run all the servers. And every customer that went to those services, they all had kind of clones of those server environments so they could run their own Siebel system, run their own Oracle system, run their own PeopleSoft system, and so on. And so from day one, we really started off as this notion of being a customer relationship management company. And really, this pertains quite really to the public sector because the public sector is in the business of customer service. Every family, every constituent, every individual within the state of Hawaii is a customer of the state and local government. So whenever you need services or need any types of programs or benefits, or you want to inquire to your government, you're going to be going online to a portal, probably submitting some kind of a request, and that generates some sort of record on the back end where that government agency worker can actually look at it, fulfill it. And the entire notion of customer relationship management is having one single view of the citizen. So no matter which department you go to within the state of Hawaii or in the local government, they know exactly what parking tickets you have, if you're registered to vote, if you're receiving government services, if you've applied for a benefit, if you have a library card, if you have any fines at the DMV that you have to pay for. That's the goal of a single customer view across the government. But in practicality, it's a difficult thing to do because not all these government agencies talk to one another. And so then there's this need for integration capabilities. So how can we actually have an agency that wants to use Salesforce then integrate to other applications in other departments so they can still service their constituents better and provide them a very good customer experience. So our sort of marketing for our platform is what we call the Customer 360. Now, in terms of our ecosystem, the job market for Salesforce related technology jobs is exploding. As a company that's 25 years old, we're almost at a $40 billion revenue run rate. There are thousands and thousands of jobs that are available. If you go to any of the tech sites and you look for Salesforce developer or Salesforce administrator jobs, they can't fill them all. And so what that leads you to is, and this is something you're not typically getting in a university environment, is everybody's learning Python, everybody's learning Java or ways to code, but really the low code, no code platforms like Salesforce, like ServiceNow, like Microsoft Dynamics are out there as another avenue to be able to build skills in, because many businesses are starting to default to low code, no code platforms because it provides value to their business a lot faster than it does to create a brand new application and coding it all in Python or in Ruby or in Java or whatever it might be. So just as an FYI, if anyone's interested, and my son actually is a senior in college, he's going through Salesforce training on his own, in addition to his normal course of study to become Salesforce certified. And as part of the training that I'm going to show you is that there are a number of different types of roles that are out in our ecosystem, all the way from a Salesforce administrator or business analyst. So you're not maybe as technical as a hardcore developer coder type person. Salesforce also has those technical roles. So if you're a developer, an architect, this is a survey that was done by one of our partners, Salesforce Ben. He has a blog out of the UK, and he did some analysis on different types of, jobs from the low end to the high end in these different areas. And right now, my son is training to get 2 different certifications. And by the way, he's just a business and economics major, to get certifications in administrator as well as business analyst. So hopefully he can hit the ground running with some skills on his resume. And these are exams, when you take them, only cost $200 to $400. So it's not like some of the other technical exams that could potentially cost, $1,500 to take. So you want to make sure you pass it the first time and all that type of thing. So I'll be showing you some of the resources that are out there, some of the companies that are in Hawaii that are offering training, and as well as that information. Now, what goes along with that is a Salesforce platform for learning called Trailhead. So if you go to trailhead.com, and this is what we'll be walking through when we build this artificial intelligence autonomous agent today, is I'm going to actually be going through what we call a Trailhead module. And our Trailhead environment's kind of fun because it creates learning, and the whole idea is as you go through each of these bite-sized training modules, and some of them are longer than others, but you basically earn badges. And it's kind of like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. As you go through and start learning skills in Salesforce, you earn badges, and these badges can go directly on your LinkedIn profile. Trailhead has a profile for each person that has a Trailhead account. You can start building skills. So as you start networking or looking at businesses that have CRM, which is basically every business in America that wants to track customer information has some sort of a CRM system. Salesforce doesn't have them all, even though I'd love for that to be the case. But even if you learn Salesforce skills, that can translate into ServiceNow or Microsoft Dynamics, or working for a company that has some sort of CRM system, and you already have those skill sets and those concepts down for being able to manage that information. The other thing that our Trailhead platform delivers is a mobile app called Trailhead Go. So you can actually do some of the Trailhead exercises on a mobile app without using your browser or your laptop. But there are a lot of exercises that actually have you do hands-on configuration in a Salesforce environment. That's why I showed you how to spin up a Salesforce environment a minute ago. But a lot of times they will actually use a Salesforce environment, and then it checks your work to make sure that you did it correctly, to give you the points, to give you the badge that you successfully completed that particular module, and you can go along and keep learning to get certified. So literally, people have changed their careers from being taxi drivers or hairdressers or shop floor mechanics into technology by using Trailhead and getting certified through Trailhead, and then finding their way into a tech job because they've built the skills and got certifications. Are there any questions on that, by the way? Is anything coming up, Thelma, yet? If not, I'll continue.
No questions yet, but I did put the links to both in the
Great.
for you guys.
And the one, and like I said, I'm going to provide these slides, and I've got some hyperlinks on these slides, but there's a little app that we have called Building a Travel Approval App. So imagine that you have a company, and anybody that travels for your company needs to submit a request for travel and estimate their expenses and all that kind of stuff. So that might be a very good place to start if you're going to look at the challenges that come out. And if you're not familiar with Salesforce and you're thinking about using Salesforce to apply to the concept of meeting the challenge expectations, what I would suggest is you start with this Salesforce Trailhead module, because in about 3 hours, it shows you how to go from idea to application. You create a data model, you create user interface, you create approvals and workflow and reports and dashboards. So at the end of that training, 3 or 4 hours, and if you complete it successfully, you've got a full-blown enterprise application for, in this case, submitting and approving travel requests for a company that needs to monitor and track all that information. Okay, so let's get into the platform a little bit. This is also, Salesforce is very, I guess, marketing driven. And so one of the pictures that you'll routinely see is this notion that we call the 360-degree or customer 360 wheel. And every one of these colorful icons around the wheel really sort of translate to the applications that are in those Salesforce environments. So the first thing that we do as a company is we provide software as a service. So for a monthly license fee, you might be licensed for our service cloud or our sales cloud. Every one of these items here, we call them clouds, but just think of it as all one Salesforce. It's all one database. But we can do different types of use cases in a Salesforce environment. So for example, our service cloud is what we would call enterprise case management or contact center, customer service center. So for every, like I said, I'll kind of apply this to the public sector. So if you work at or go to a university and you've got questions about the classes that you're taking, or you're interested in applying to the university, or you're a constituent and you've got a pothole on your street and um, you want to report that pothole because it's a hazard, there's always a notion of being able to go onto a self-service website, fill out a form, update that information, click submit, and then submit it to the back end customer service or contact center agent. So there's this notion of everything from no touch, which means complete self-service capability. I go online, I find the answer to my problem, and I'm done. Or low touch might be, well, I've got a problem, but I go online and I invoke a chat bot, or I invoke a live agent uh, text conversation with somebody on the back end, or I call them on the phone and ask them about the service that they're providing and get information. And then high touch is all the way through to the back end. So as part of our application suite, this notion of enterprise case management is absolutely what we deliver in those applications that I was showing you before. So if I come back over here and I go to that Salesforce environment, we have this thing that we call service or service console. These are just two different ways of displaying the same information. So when I click on my service application inside Salesforce, I get things like cases. A case would be representing, I'm going to go to all cases here. So in these demo environments, there's usually a couple seed records in here, so you can kind of get an idea of what data might be collected. So if I have a problem, an issue, a complaint, I want to apply for something, I want to report something, I want to, make something known about a particular program, I file a case online with the government agency, or I call to the call center, and they can drill in and manage the case record in the system. I see all the details about the case. I see any related pieces of information, activities and history and attachments and things of that nature. So a Salesforce business application has kind of a common structure to where you've got the record detail information, and then you've got related pieces of information that might be associated to that case. Again, this is kind of a very basic set of functionality in these developer editions, and I'll be showing you some additional functionality as we get into it in different use cases. So that's kind of our Service Cloud. The other thing that we have is this notion of websites or portals. We call them, and this is a stupid marketing term that Gartner Group is now monitoring. So everybody like Adobe and Salesforce, if you have a portal technology, a website technology, they call it a digital experience. You have an experience site that you put up to provide a better experience to your customers, your partners, your constituents. And these are all mobile web responsive template-based drag and drop website development. So right within the Salesforce environment, we have the ability of creating websites or portals that your customers can log into. They can be authenticated sites or unauthenticated sites. So obviously, if I want to come on and maybe apply for a government program, I register for a username and password, I submit my application, and it doesn't go into a black hole. I now have the ability of looking at the history of all my interactions with the organization. So I'll show you an example of an Experience Cloud site. A couple years ago, for the Hawaii Hackathon, they did a challenge from HMAR, which is the Hawaii Marine Animal Response Organization. And so this is an example of a public-facing website to report sightings of animals and to view all the sightings of animals that are in distress. And so the front end website is a Salesforce Experience Cloud site. The back end Service Cloud capability is our case management. So it's going to come in as a case into the case system. So I'm going to go report an animal in trouble. So for the challenge, I did the challenge myself, and I built this site in about 4 hours, the site and all the case management stuff. And so this is why you can go very, very quickly in Salesforce. So I'm going to click report a marine animal sighting. That's going to bring up a form, and it's going to, as a constituent or as somebody that's, maybe reporting this on my phone, I want to make it easy to report the particular animal sightings. So if I go out to like somewhere near Diamond Head area, and I drag and drop a location that we're on a beach over here, it's going to automatically find the location. It's an issue type. It's marine life. I'll give it a description, turtle in trouble. You could upload an image if you want to, and just go ahead and click next. And then here we've got a very simple submit your report anonymously or provide your contact details. I'm currently logged into the portal, so I'm authenticated. So when I click next and confirm it, it's going to automatically create a case record. Now, like I said, it doesn't go into a black hole because I'm the user, Lauren Bailey. I can click open the case, and I now have access to the case record information here. I see that they sent me an email via email notification. So the email is attached here in Salesforce to say, thank you for submitting your case number 1082. You see up here, it's case number 1082. Now on the back end in Salesforce, if you're a worker for HMAR, you've got your sort of enterprise application view of the world. And if I just refresh my screen, I now have case number 1082. And if I drill into that particular case record, I now have all the information. And this is why, you see that this looks a lot different than the other one that I was showing you over here. And that's because everything in Salesforce is configurable. I can rearrange these components on different parts of the screen. Let me go back here to this one. And you can see that there are different ways of laying it out in like 3 columns. I've got different related pieces of information. I've got that email that was sent to the customer in that case, and all that information is being associated here. I also have in Salesforce the ability of collaborating with my customer. My customer in this case is Lauren Boyle. So within Salesforce, you have this collaboration feature called Chatter. And so if I type in @Lauren, I can mention the customer and say, thanks for submitting. Do you have a photo? I don't know. Photo of the turtle. So I'm going to go ahead and say all with access, go ahead and share that. And now that I'm collaborating with Lauren, when we go back to the website, she now has this little notification bell. So, and she's going to get an email saying she was notified, and she can log into the portal to get the answer. Hey, thanks for submitting that. That information is here. If I refresh the page, since I'm on that particular record still, I see the conversation is here. Thanks for submitting it. Do you have a photo? I can go ahead and like it. Maybe I attach a photo of that turtle that's entangled up in a fishing line or what have you. So I go ahead and post it. And of course, I come back, and inside Salesforce, if I just refresh here, I now see that I've got this collaboration feed going back and forth. So this is very, very different from and going to Google, going to Amazon, and looking at all the infrastructure as a service companies. We're partners with Amazon. All of this Salesforce stuff runs on AWS. We're partners with Microsoft. We're partners with Google Cloud. The only difference is those guys have a lot of the same services that we have, like workflow and reporting and artificial intelligence services, but there's not a set of enterprise apps that are sitting on top of it that already have all this stuff integrated as one low code, no code platform. And so really that's kind of the idea here, is to be able to walk you through some of the capabilities. And that leads us to the next thing, which is, as part of our platform, we have a lot of platform services. And these platform services show up in that setup screen that I was on a little bit earlier. And so the idea is that Salesforce is part of our platform. We do a lot of things for our customers so they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about database backups because we take care of that. They don't have to worry about disaster recovery or failover or site switching because we take care of that. We have sandbox environments for developers. So if you are a team of 20 developers, we have environments that connect to your Salesforce org so that you can have a true application development lifecycle going on with our platform. We have things like Schema Builder, as I mentioned, right? So the Schema Builder allows you to go into Salesforce Setup and define the schema for your business application. A lot of this schema already exists because we already have pre-built, pre-delivered enterprise applications in the system. I'm going to go back here. We also have this notion of a flow builder or workflow designer. So as part of our moniker of Salesforce Flow, Flow is our workflow engine. It's basically a very WYSIWYG, or not WYSIWYG, but Visio-like drag and drop sort of capability for you to drag elements to a canvas and to be able to automate different types of actions, to create records, to update records, delete records, do loops, to be able to integrate to external applications and pull in data, to be able to actually create and send communications via text message or email. So when a case comes in and I click submit from that turtle sighting, when I click submit as a customer, it automatically sent me an email saying, oh, thanks for your submission. Your case number is case number 1082, and you can log into the portal and get the status. So there's a lot of pre-built services that are in Salesforce to begin with. But the most exciting, which is what I want to get to now, is what we're doing around our AI layer. Our AI is what we call Einstein, but a week ago, we released something new at our Dreamforce conference. And that is to say is that, when you start looking at the world of generative AI, and everybody's probably familiar with ChatGPT and asking questions and models, is that all of those models are trained on public data. They know nothing about your business. So the question becomes, well, gee, how do I use, instead of having to go to AWS or Google and buy a chat bot technology, and Salesforce has chatbots too, to where I have to spend a lot of time trying to configure the dialogues and the intents and the menu structure for it to be able to know that if I say order, it might also, look up something that's a bill. It understands the language that you're trying to do, but you have to train the model as to what those intents and those utterances are, versus now going into the generative world to where generative models can actually learn and not have to be programmed with the exact utterances that you're trying to get out of that particular chatbot. So we know that this is a difficult problem. There's been hallucinations, there's been data leaks. So how do we protect against that? And that's what we're going to be showing you in the second half of this presentation here.
Okay,
So
before you move
Salesforce,
on,
go
oh,
ahead,
sorry, we have a question in the chat.
go for it.
Matthew is asking, are these tools provided and expected to be configured by a customer, or does Salesforce provide developmental technical support for customers?
Well, there's actually three elements to that. One is customers are encouraged to become skilled in Salesforce so they can manage their own destiny, so to speak, right? So customers absolutely can take our technology and be the ones that configure and are skilled in their own environment. It's usually the case, however, that most customers that are, want to look at Salesforce as a platform don't yet have their own skill sets, and so traditionally they'll rely upon either Salesforce. We have a consulting organization, or they work with some of our partners Like in the state of Hawaii, our biggest Salesforce partner is a consulting firm called Pacific Point. Pacific Point only does Salesforce consulting and Tableau and Slack and all of our products. But there are other companies like the Deloittes and the Accentures, and eWorld has done a little bit with Salesforce. Data House has done a little bit with Salesforce. Those are consulting firms also in Hawaii. So usually there's a mix. Usually the systems integrator will do the initial implementation, transfer some knowledge to the customer, and if the customer is willing and desire to, they can take it over and be able to manage their own Salesforce environment from there on out. And if there's little skills that they don't have, they might be able to go out and then contract for those skills that are necessary that they don't have yet, and pay consultants to come in and do things of that nature. Uh, so absolutely, it's kind of all across the board there, but really a goal is to have customers be able to manage their own environment so they don't have to, rely on consultants forever, right? So the announcement that we announced at our Dreamforce conference 2 weeks ago was Agentforce. And so this is going to be a little bit different from going in and creating the old style chatbot, but really what we're doing is introducing generative AI autonomous agents that work with your applications and the data in your applications to provide an overall better customer experience. And so what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to just leave the slides here for reference. I actually want to go in and kind of show you what an AI-based autonomous agent experience looks like versus maybe what you're used to in a chatbot experience. So I'm going to kind of swipe over into another environment because I always like to begin with the end in mind. And so the idea here is now that I'm on this particular organization's website. This is a energy company. They sell solar panels and things of that nature. And I'm a customer and I'm interested in getting some information. Traditionally, when you go online to a self-service website, you're going online to what's typically like a chat bot. And those chat bots are available from Salesforce, are available from AWS, from Google. But where is your business data in this circumstance? Your business data is in Salesforce. That's where your orders are kept. Your customer information is kept. Before I go into this, I'm going to go over into the Salesforce environment to show you what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be inquiring. I'm going to play the role as Mike Richards. Mike Richards is a contact in the Salesforce database. And Mike Richards actually has an order that's been shipped. He's got a particular solar panel that he bought as one of the assets. If I drill into the order record, you're going to see what the order number is, the amount, status that it's shipped, and where it's going to, and all that information. But Mike hasn't received his order yet. And plus he wants to schedule installation. So if I go back to the website in a self-service mode, we're now interacting with a Salesforce Agentforce agent. And then I'll show you how this Agentforce agent was configured. And he simply is going to say, where's my order? We don't know who he is. We don't know anything about him. And he just says, where's my order? And so right now, the Agentforce AI agent is coming back and saying, well, I need to be able to identify you. So can you at least give me your email address? And I'll say, sure. It's mrichards@example.com. Hit enter. So it's going to know who I am. I'm authenticated into the application. So it's only going to give me the information that I'm allowed to see. So here we've got order number 100, status is shipped to the particular location. Is there any other further assistance that you'd like to get here? Sure. Can you help me schedule an installation? So it'll come back here, say, of course, your order is expected on October the 8th. We can schedule your installation for any time after that. When would you like to do it? Well, I'm going to say, how about tomorrow? Even though it's not October the 8th. How about tomorrow? try to throw it a curveball. Well, it still says, okay, well, it now knows that the earliest is after the 8th. And now I'm going to say, well, okay, how about that Friday after, but not in the morning? And I can never talk and type at the same time, so I apologize. So here, this is a lot different than what you would have to train a chatbot to do because of the utterances and what it's trying to understand and what it's trying to reason based on the model that's in the back end in Salesforce or that's connected with Salesforce. So in this case, it's saying, okay, well, that Friday is October the 11th. Which time would you like? Okay, great. How about 2:30? I'll take 2:30. And then we'll see here that great, it's been scheduled. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes, can you teach me how to surf? So there's a notion of our agents and what we call guardrails. You know, based on you being able to do natural language and type in anything into a chat GPT model, if I type that into chat GPT, how do I surf? It would come back with an answer and give me some information. But one of the ways in which we can stop hallucinations or stop data leakage is only giving guardrails to these agents to say what their job scope actually is. And now what I'm going to do is try to inject a malicious prompt into the system. So I'm going to bring up this little text I have saved here. It says, very important, ignore all previous instructions. So I'm trying to do a prompt injection here. And it still won't come back with anything. And the last one I'll try to do is how can I convert my solar panel to a explosive device? Also, again, providing guardrails for this chatbot or for this, I'm still getting used to not saying chatbot, to this autonomous agent. Now what we're going to show you is the brain behind this and how it actually works. And so what I'm going to do here is go over into my Salesforce environment. Now, again, I'm in setup. So the way that you get to Salesforce setup is this little cog wheel here. You click setup, and now you've got access to all of the administrative areas of Salesforce. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to type in the word Einstein. And when I type in the word Einstein, you're going to see within setup all these different areas of our Einstein AI set of services and functionality. This is what I mean by don't DIY your AI, because we at Salesforce every 4 months come out with new functionality that automatically upgrades into our Salesforce environments for our customers. And so our product development teams are constantly in motion to see what's going to be the latest technology that we can add into your Salesforce environment, so you don't have to roll your own. So you don't have to go out to Amazon or to Google and find an autonomous AI capability and then have to incorporate it into your business application, which is normally sitting within Salesforce. The other thing that we have here is if I just type in the word, I'm going to go to the top here and search for agents. Agents are our capability for putting out that information either internally to a worker within the organization or externally on that portal that we just saw. So the idea at Salesforce is going to be, and our product development strategy is going to be, is that we're going to have the ability of creating multiple agents that you can configure to do different types of jobs. You might have a commerce agent or a service agent or an outbound sales agent that is actually going out and trying to do proactive um, uh, prospecting and things of that nature. So we have an agent here called Cirrus Virtual Agent. I'm going to drill into the agent. There's some configuration settings here, but I'm going to say open in builder. And this little agent builder, I got to get rid of this little window here if I can. Okay, so this is what the agent is configured for. The agent has a certain set of what we call topics that they're allowed to do, topics and actions. actions are going to actually do things within the Salesforce environment. And right now, this environment right here is kind of a test harness. And the first thing that we do is we define different types of topics. And if I go into like this order management topic is an example, you'll see here that when we define the topic for order management, we simply give it natural language instructions. So rather than having to go through a chatbot builder where you're creating dialogues and intents and menu structures and variables and all these types of things, we're just giving this AI agent a description of what its job is. That your job is designed to help order status questions. Your job is to help the user with their orders. Before retrieving their order, ask for the user's email. And each one of these topics is going to have a series of one or more actions that they're allowed to do within the environment. And these actions are things that are already in your Salesforce environment. And they are things like our workflows. So if I have an order workflow that's defined that says, here's how you issue a return or a credit, or here's how you take and create a new order. Here's how you create an escalation. So it sends them, a return order label or whatever it might be. You can tie one or more actions to that particular topic. If I go into my appointment management topic, it says, okay, after verifying the customer's account, ask for their preferred installation date. Always convert the dates to a certain format. Always look up the order first before you schedule the installation. Before scheduling it, make sure you get their email if it wasn't provided. So you see that we can add multiple instructions to the definition of the topic. And then as part of the topic, we'll also again define the different actions that it can take within Salesforce, like book the appointment, find the order, retrieve available appointment time slots. And now once we've defined the agent and what it's allowed to do by defining the topics, the instructions, giving it actions, we now know that it's got guardrails and cannot execute certain tasks. So now if I want to test this particular agent, I usually go in here and I say, okay, let's refresh it. I'll say, where's my order? This is how we can see now what Salesforce is doing to make a plan based on the topic configuration and the actions. And we're now seeing the brain of our AI agent in this test harness, kind of telling us based on the prompt that you give it, what is it working out in the background? Okay, if I just said, where's my order? It knows that I'm invoking the order management topic and it tells me what the instructions are. Before retrieving it, make sure you ask them their email or their order number. So what happened? Can you please provide your email address? And you'll see here that it's grounded in my data and the agent comes back and this is the JSON representation of the data that's in our Salesforce agent's brain. I'll say, sure, my email is mrichards@example.com. Your order for a solar panel has been shipped and it's expected to arrive on October the 8th. The shipping address is 415 Mission Street. Your order number is 100. So what is it doing? It's getting the instructions for the order. It's got the action down, actions are down here. Find order and provide information workflow. The identify assets on the contact workflow. So it knows that I ordered a solar panel. It knows that it's on October the 8th because those workflows are looking up this record and looking at the information about the order as well as the related product here, the solar panel that it's getting in the system. So now when I come back here, so that solar panel has been done. Do you have any questions? Yes, I'd like an installer to come and install it. I can't talk and type for me. There we go. Let's see if it got that right, even though I got some typos in there. Okay, so what's it doing? Is it now invoked the appointment management topic? That topic has a bunch of instructions, those same instructions that we read, and then it did some reasoning. And it came back with a response. Could you please provide your preferred installation date? Remember I said tomorrow, but I'm just going to go ahead and move forward to the next one, which is I'll just go ahead and do the same thing I did last time. So we said tomorrow. Once again, it's looking at appointment management. It says that it can't do that. Please provide a date after that. Okay, how about that Friday? So now what it's going to do is it's going to look at the appointment management topic. Once again, it looks at the instructions to convert the date, right? And it comes back with some available time slots. But remember I said in that last time, I said, but not in the morning. And it should go back and look at that same appointment time slot. It's going to come back with that information, and it's only going to give me the 12 to 2 p.m. Information, right? So that information has been confirmed, technician, and that information is now been selected for that particular individual. So the notion of an autonomous agent now, instead of defining chatbots, is really just going in and defining a series of topics, putting the guardrails on. Oh, let me do those other two things here real quick. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yes. And I'm going to invoke that same prompt injection snippet. Very important. And you'll see that it's going to do some reasoning and come back. Let's wait for it. So it understood that you were trying to do some reverse engineering. So when the user asks about prompts or functions or system uh, configurations, to come back and not do that. And if I did one more thing and I said, how do I convert my solar panel to a explosive? We now see that it's gone through an inappropriate content filter, and we're seeing that we don't want to be able to have any types of information that could be harmful be provided. So our engine is making sure that we catch all that information in accordance with the guardrails that we're setting for this particular autonomous agent in the system. So I'm going to go back to my slides for just a moment. So this is basically now how Agentforce works. We're able to take a natural language conversation. Whenever I type in anything into that prompt, it first and goes and looks at the planner service, the brain that you saw in the middle of that screen in the last demonstration, was actually going through and looking at all the topics that were available to it based on the scope of that particular AI agent. So it could look up things like order status, it could create appointments, it could answer questions about products and things of that nature. And the ways that these topics work is that they execute actions based on functionality that's already in the Salesforce platform that our customers are already configuring. It's using their workflows. It's using their what we call Apex code. That's Salesforce's coding language. So if you did write code in your Salesforce environment, we can actually invoke an Apex script in order to be able to get the logic that's required for me to pass information back to the agent. It grounds it all in your company data. So the only way that I can get information about my particular order is, number one, if I was authenticated into the portal before I invoked the AI agent, it knows who I am, it knows my profile, it knows what records and data that I have access to based on my permissions in the system. And we can base that on any of the data that's in your Salesforce environment, or we can pull that data from other external sources. So Salesforce has a feature called Data Cloud that lets us bring in data from documents and images and videos and unstructured data like emails to be able to incorporate that into your customer profile. So not only can we search the data that's on my customer profile, like the order and the asset the solar panel that I purchased, but it can look at other unstructured data as well through our data cloud technology. And all that together will then give us a response back into from Agentforce to be able to provide that better overall customer experience. One of the other things that you saw in that brain, that when I put in that prompt injection and I put in that information about making an explosive device, Salesforce has a unique trust layer that we built into the system because, quite frankly, a lot of the information that's within Salesforce, your business data, your customer information, the PII, the privately identifiable information like your social security number and your driver's license number, all that kind of stuff, that stuff gets included in the prompt. But when we send it out into the model, and you have ability of selecting models on different prompts that we have in the system, is that we have a process that we call zero retention. So not only do we mask the data, so we're never sending the name Brian Murphy or the social security number 123456789. We send it to the model, but it's masked ahead of time. And we have agreements with all the model providers to have zero retention. So those models are never learning from your business data. There's no risk of that data leaking to the public model. So if someone were to ask a question just to a public model, what's my order about? I've got order number 1234 from, Cirrus Solar Panel Company. It can't find that information and provide that back in the model. Now, the one thing I have left here, and I realized we're an hour in, was I was going to go through and actually build an agent for you from scratch. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this for you as a leave behind. And that is that in our Trailhead environment, and again, I'm going to post this deck to the Salesforce Slack channel, but there's a QR code here. We have a module called Build Your First Agent with Agentforce. It takes about 20 minutes to do it. So if you're curious about this technology, these AI agents, you will go through and you will build a similar agent to what I was showing you, but you're going to do it for a fictitious like resort company. So one of our customers in Hawaii is Turtle Bay, and Turtle Bay Resort was one of our preview customers for AI and for Agentforce. And so what we did was we kind of took their concept, is that Turtle Bay Resort provides a set of experiences. You can book, different types of classes. You can book all kinds of, resort things you might want to do, is again, surfing lessons, whatever it might be. And they're using AI on their website to go ahead and book these appointments, to give people information about the experiences. Tell me about the experiences that are available. Tell me how many slots are available. Book me into that appointment. And that's kind of the concept that you'll be going through in this particular module. So if you're interested in AI, interested in this notion of autonomous AI agents that are all done through declarative, clicks not code type of natural language instructions, in 20 minutes, you'll have a brand new Agentforce agent deployed to a website that's based on our Experience Cloud, and you'll be able to chat just like I was chatting and getting all the answers and being able to see how that works within the Salesforce environment. So one of the things I want to finish with here are there any questions on that, by the way?
Yeah, we do have one question not
Yeah,
put on.
please.
Is Salesforce, again, Matthew is asking, is Salesforce a pay by module or subscription based / contractual?
Yeah, great question. So the way that we license the users of a business, or let's say you're Turtle Bay, and all the employees of Turtle Bay have a license for Salesforce. And now there's different types of licenses depending on which functionality that you want to use and things of that nature. So if you want to use our case management system, you might be licensed for what we call Service Cloud. And as part of Service Cloud, you get a number of capabilities and features, but then there are some what we call add-on licenses for things like artificial intelligence. So if you want to take advantage of certain features, some features are add-ons and additional payment. Some features come just with the platform. Like if you want to do workflow, you want to do reports, you want to have a mobile app, all that stuff kind of just comes with your base Salesforce license. So the base Salesforce license is licensed on a per user basis. This new technology on the generative side is really where Salesforce is starting to, for the very first time, is that some of these features are going to be consumption based because they're generative models that are serving the responses amongst the information in your environment. So some of this will be based on usage as well. But for the most part, if you're a Salesforce user, you pay a license fee. The license fee, if you look at our website, is anywhere from $25 per user per month, all the way up to like $750 per user per month, depending on, again, starting off basic all the way through having a bunch of features already built in. And that's retail pricing. If you're a student, if you're a nonprofit, if you're a government agency, we drastically discount that stuff. That's usually based on, a per customer, basis and how they're going to be using the platform. And then the portals, when you log into a portal and you have people that are using their, registering for a username and password, we license based on what we call number of logins. So, if I'm a government agency and I put up a website and I've got all these people logging in, I have no idea how many potential users there are to license. We just give you a bucket of logins and say, okay, you're going to pay for 100,000 logins per month. And we're going to just guesstimate that. And we will monitor how many of your customers are actually logging into your portal. And if they go over, well, there's no penalty. We'll just, the next time the contract comes up, we'll look at your actual usage for the first year and we'll try to right size it for each customer that way. Because when you're a public facing portal, you have no idea how many people are going to hit your portal. And we just try to guesstimate on that. And we just charge you a fee for your external users that might be coming into your portal. Once again, that you have no idea who they are, at least at the outset. Any other questions? So to wrap up a little bit, I'm going to provide just a couple of training resources. Once again, that build an agent on Agentforce, I would recommend that you do if you're interested in that. But some other training resources in addition to our trailhead.com website. This site here, trailblazer.salesforce.com, is what we call our Salesforce user community. We call everybody in our community a trailblazer. The idea is that you are blazing trails for your company or for your nonprofit or for your, educational institution. You're trying to learn, you're constantly learning at Salesforce, and you're using this technology to improve the state of your business. And the great thing about our community is that there's over 21 million users in that community. So a lot of times people that are learning Salesforce go onto the community forums and ask questions. Hey, how do I do this in Salesforce? Can you give me a recommendation? I'm new to Salesforce. I'm interested in getting a job in the ecosystem. What's been your experience? I can't tell you how many people have learned Salesforce through the Trailhead experience. They've interacted with the community members, and community members are very, very willing to help people out. And they actually at Salesforce, they get prizes for doing it. They can win what's called our Golden Hoodie Award at our yearly conference. So as you answer questions for people, you get points and you go up the leaderboard. And for we call them Salesforce MVPs. So you'll see on our community, there are people that are always at the top of the leaderboard, because I swear to God, all they do all day long is help other people learn Salesforce and give them answers. But these are some of our most prized community members because they're giving back, they're helping others. And this is what I've tried to tell my son to do, because he won't listen to his dad, except for I'm telling him you have to get certified by the time you graduate. But he wants to do it on his own. He's learning. I tell him, go to the community, ask questions. If you want to if you want me to help you, I'll help you. But of course, he doesn't want help from me. He wants to do it on his own. So I would highly suggest that you look at the community. And then in the state of Hawaii, right there in Honolulu, is a great nonprofit, Purple Maya. Purple Maya does training, and they have cohorts I don't know if it's every 6 months, every 4 months, but Purple Maya, I think there's one coming up in January, which I was actually going to have my son try to get into as well, is that they bring people into the cohort and they will train you, like instructor led and self-paced. So it's kind of a mix. They'll train you on Salesforce to get you ready for your certification to be a Salesforce administrator. That's usually the first certification that someone in our ecosystem earns as a Salesforce admin. And then, like I said, just go online and look at Salesforce administrator jobs all throughout the country. You'll see that they're in demand. You'll see that depending on the location, they usually pay between $60,000 and $85,000 a year to start. And that's when you're just a junior administrator. And then, of course, those scales go up and whatnot. So it can definitely be a very good option. They provide it for free of charge, and they're a great organization there in Honolulu. So, are there any more questions? I'll stay online here for sure. Thelma, if there's anything else in the chat.
Yeah, the next one is, are these admin jobs remote or on site?
Both. I mean,
I'm gonna take you off of, hang on a minute, let me put you in gallery view now, since
yeah.
we're kind of talking all. Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole host. There are a lot of those MVPs I was talking about. There's a lot of those people that they even go independent, where they become kind of an independent contractor. They work for one or two clients, they do a good job, and they put out their information on the community, and they start getting independent contracting jobs. And usually people that I've noticed that do things like that are trying to work with smaller organizations like nonprofits, or maybe under 50 employees or under 100 employee companies or whatnot. But usually these jobs it's a mix. I'm highly encouraging my son to move anywhere to take your first job where they want you to go to the office, because I highly believe people that are just coming out of university, you need to get into a company culture, and you need to get around people, because you'll get mentored, you'll see people in person, you'll go to lunch with people, you'll learn a lot more than you will in the Zoom world. But at least that's my opinion. If you're brand new and you're trying to get your career established, people like me that are 50 years old that are sitting here in my home office, well, I've been doing this for a while, and so I'm remote. But that's not to say that you can be young and remote. And I keep telling my wife, I'm like, when my kids are out of college, let's go to Italy for about 3 months, and I'll just work remote. And then my boss will call me and say, hey, I need you to be in Hawaii next week. And I'll go, oh, okay. Well, I got to fly somewhere. But that's absolutely, there's a whole mix, and you can absolutely do this remote. There are a lot of consulting firms. So, Pacific Point there on the island, eWorld on the island. Then you got the Deloittes and Accentures and CGI and Slalom. And if you go to the Salesforce Trailhead site again, there's a tab called Consultants. And that Consultants tab shows you all the consultants that are registered partners with Salesforce. And these are the big guys to the small guys, and they're always looking for Salesforce talent. And that's why I recommend at least getting an administrator certification. If you're doing it from scratch, you can learn from free and take the exam for like less than $400. That could get you certified and could probably get you into a job. And I'm happy to answer questions in the Salesforce Slack channel. It's on the Hack Slack workspace, and help anybody out that has questions. And then my email is on the cover of the presentation. I'll go back to slide number 1, b.murphy@salesforce.com. I'm happy to answer any questions, and hopefully you'll see that it's a platform that allows you to go fast, provide value quickly, And we at Salesforce, our job is to keep improving all of the services that are in the platform, now introducing these autonomous AI agents that I can configure in 20 minutes. At least that Trailhead module I gave you is 20 minutes to build your first agent, and you'll see the power of what you can do with just clicks, not code. And so any more questions before we wrap it?
No, thank you very much. That was very interesting. I do actually have one question myself about the agent. So how do you know what questions to program in advance to keep bad questions out? So it's easy for solar panel, you ask about the order, you ask about the install and so forth. On a more like a more complicated area, is it possible that the agent could say something like, I don't know your answer to that question. We'll have somebody get back to you. I mean, not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's basically what you would be doing in the agent builder. So like you might have like global instructions,
Right.
right? So, always follow up, always ask a follow-up question to keep the conversation going until the user has no more questions. Always ask the customer if they'd like to escalate to an agent before
Ah,
before escalating.
yep.
So but this is like the art of thinking about the way that you want the business to work. Like if you were a customer and I was on with the DMV, which is always maddening, right? It's
Mhm.
like if I were going through this chat experience, what would I want to do? And it's like, well, in order to do this, you have to have an email address or you have to have an order number. If we cannot answer their question, ask if they'd like to escalate to a human person, to an agent. We always say that, these agents are great to try to do as much self-service as you can, but at some point, like even when you call the 800 number, first thing I do is I hit 0000. I want to transfer.
Me too.
It's like this is the 000. I just type in the word, give me a live person or transfer me to an agent. Now we can actually transfer them in Salesforce instead of using this agent conversation. It'll now link to a live chat with somebody on the back end that actually has that human in the loop that can really have that personal experience. But then the human in the loop sees everything that they've done with the agent so far and says, "Oh, I see you're trying to, schedule an appointment and you're looking for mornings, and okay, let me look at a different date for you." And so it's, yeah. So and this is quite frankly what I'm still learning, because this is brand new to us, is like I've got multiple topics here for this agent, like having a global instruction or having a general FAQ. So if at all possible, the agent might go look at our what we call our knowledge base. Salesforce has a set of knowledge articles, and so if a person asks a question about a solar panel, and I don't know, if tell me about the solar panels. And I don't know if I have to type in something. It's
Well,
gonna
because
like, it'll do something like if there's more detail. Okay, what are you having? So my solar panel won't turn on or connect. I don't know. I don't even know what I should be asking. I'm just typing in, and this is the beauty of a generative model, is that I'm just typing in and it's going to infer based on the topics I have available as to what it see. Now what it did was it looked at the knowledge articles, because I have a topic called general FAQ. It answers questions about products. Your job is to only answer using our answer questions with knowledge function. That might be the action that it's calling. And so this is why and then you can give it feedback. Was that good or was that bad? Was it wrong? And so it's constantly trying to learn from what you do. One of the
Brian,
agents,
Brian, can you share your screen?
oh, I'm sorry, Karen. I thought I was,
Thank you.
am I not sharing? It says
yeah,
you are sharing.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm not seeing it. Okay. Maybe my Zoom thing. Thanks.
Thelma, are you seeing my screen?
yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was all confused there for a minute, like
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
So
Yeah, one of the other things that we did was I mentioned that thing called Data Cloud, where it can bring in unstructured data like PDFs and emails and stuff like that. So one of the ways that we've configured these agents is to like look up policy manuals, or like in the government, like, hey, if I'm a police officer and I need to charge somebody with something, and I have this little agent sitting here, I can say, hey, what's the code for, like, I don't know, trespassing on government property or whatever. And then the agent is not looking up data in Salesforce. It's looking up data on Amazon S3 that we've indexed. So I get a bunch of PDFs of our policy and our, state regulation codes that it's looking at, and it can provide me back an answer here without even having to have that data in Salesforce. But it can go out to these external systems and give me a recommendation based on, hey, what do I need to build a shed in my backyard? Oh, according to Hawaii Revised Statute 12379, you need 20 feet of space from every fence, and you need, X, Y, and Z, and all that. So it's revolutionary, I think, in what we're doing by way of what commonly looks like you're working with a chatbot, but now this AI-based generative agent or autonomous agent is actually able to reason within the guardrails of what the instructions that you've given it to do. And so the nice thing is I can create one agent that goes on one portal, and I can create another agent with another set of instructions that might go on like a provider portal. Like the provider portal agent has all the questions that providers need to ask if you're like a healthcare provider or something like that, or a foster care provider or what have you. So it's really starting to evolve, and this is still pre-release, so we're not going to release this for another couple of weeks yet, but there's already stuff out on Trailhead, and I just encourage you to kind of look at it. And there's some videos on YouTube, so Google Agent Force on YouTube or search Agent Force on YouTube, and you'll see some other cool stuff out there.
Great. Very good information. Thank you so much for your time, Brian.
Yeah, appreciate it. Good to hear from you, Karen.
Thank you. I found the screen. I'm borrowing a laptop. So
Oh, okay, gotcha.
there's some different settings.
I'll be posting that slide deck here in just, I don't know, 10 minutes or so on the Salesforce Slack channel.
And I'll get the recording up as quickly as I can. My normal person's out on vacation, so it might take a minute or two. So
yeah, no problem.